Cassandra Bell built a billion-dollar tech company from scratch, then disappeared for 2 years to care for her husband. Now she's back, expecting a warm welcome. But the company she founded doesn't recognize her anymore. Literally. Rejected by her own staff, dismissed by the man she once mentored, and stripped from the walls of her own lobby, Cassandra walks through her empire like a stranger. But what they don't know is she's still watching. And she didn't come back to ask for her seat. She came back to reclaim it. By the time they realize who she really is, it may be too late. Quick question before we get into it. Are you someone who watches these during lunch breaks or late night? Let us know down below. This story's got a powerful punch you won't want to miss. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Cassandra Bell adjusted her simple gray hoodie as she stood before the gleaming glass tower of Bell Tech Industries. 30 years ago, she built this company from her garage with nothing but determination and a revolutionary algorithm. Now, after 2 years away caring for her ailing husband Raymond, she was finally returning to the company that bore her name. "Welcome home," she whispered to herself, feeling both excited and strangely nervous. The lobby had changed. Gone were the warm earth tones she'd chosen, replaced by stark whites and chrome. Her eyes searched for the founder's wall where her photo once hung prominently. It was gone. "That's odd," she murmured, approaching the security desk. "ID badge, ma'am?" the guard asked without looking up. Cassandra pulled out her CEO badge, dusty from disuse. "It's been a while." The guard frowned at the badge, then at her casual attire. "This looks expired. I'll need to call this in." Cassandra waited patiently while the guard made a call, speaking in hushed tones. She felt eyes on her from the employees streaming past in crisp suits, so different from the casual creativity she'd once encouraged. Finally, the guard returned her badge with a new sticker. "Sorry about that, Ms. Bell." The system flagged it because it hadn't been used in so long. As Cassandra rode the elevator to the executive floor, unease settled in her stomach. Marcus Warner, her COO, had been running daily operations during her absence. She'd trusted him completely. He was brilliant, charismatic, and she'd personally mentored him for years. The elevator doors opened to a redesigned reception area, where a young woman with perfectly styled hair sat behind a sleek desk. "I'm here to see Marcus," Cassandra said. The receptionist didn't look up from her computer. "Do you have an appointment?" "I don't need one." The woman's eyes flicked up dismissively, taking in Cassandra's hoodie, gray-streaked hair, and the weathered hands of a woman who'd spent decades building something from nothing. "This area is for VIPs only," she said, her voice sharp. "The general waiting area is downstairs." Something cold spread through Cassandra's chest. Was it possible this woman didn't know who she was? "I'm Cassandra Bell." She waited for recognition to dawn. It didn't. "And I'm Jessica Fairchild," the receptionist replied with a smirk. "Unless you have an appointment, you'll need to wait downstairs. Mr. Warner is very busy these days running the company." Running her company. Cassandra straightened her spine, the way she had in countless boardrooms when men assumed she was there to take notes rather than lead the meeting. "Call Marcus," she said quietly. "Tell him Cassandra is here." Jessica rolled her eyes but picked up the phone. "I have someone here claiming to be Cassandra Bell," she said with unmistakable doubt in her voice. From across the lobby, Cassandra noticed two young executives watching the exchange. One whispered to the other, and they both snickered. The pain of it stung like a physical blow. "She's wearing a hoodie," Jessica continued into the phone, eyeing Cassandra with disdain. "Claims she doesn't need an appointment." The receptionist's eyes suddenly widened. Her face drained of color as she listened to whatever Marcus was saying. "But she doesn't look like—" Jessica stopped mid-sentence. "Yes, sir." "Right away, sir." She hung up and stood so quickly her chair rolled backward. "Ms. Bell, I'm so sorry. Please follow me immediately." The snickering executives froze as Jessica's words carried across the lobby. Their faces transformed from amusement to horror as they realized who they'd been laughing at. Jessica led Cassandra down the hallway, babbling nervously. "I'm new here, just started 3 months ago. They never showed me your picture." "I mean, they did, but it was the formal portrait from the annual report, and you look different in person, more casual." Cassandra supplied, her voice level. "Yes, Exactly. Jessica seemed relieved. Mr. Warner always stresses professional appearance, so I just assumed. They reached a conference room where Marcus Warner stood waiting, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit. At 45, he had the polished look of a man comfortable with power. Cassandra. He embraced her warmly, but his eyes held calculation. What a wonderful surprise. We weren't expecting you back so soon. Raymond's doing better, she said. I thought it was time to come home. Something flickered across Marcus's face. Disappointment? Marvelous news. Please sit. Jessica, get Ms. Bell some coffee. Actually, Cassandra said, I'd like a tour first. See what's changed while I've been gone. Marcus's smile tightened. Of course. But perhaps you'd like to freshen up. We have an executive retreat starting in an hour with major investors. Cassandra caught his meaning immediately. Her casual clothes didn't fit his vision of leadership. I'm fine as I am, she said firmly. As Marcus led her through the office, Cassandra noticed how employees reacted to him, with fear rather than respect. Junior staff literally backed away as he approached. This wasn't the culture she'd built. In the product development area, a young black woman was presenting a prototype. When she saw Marcus, she visibly tensed. Danielle, Marcus nodded curtly. Still working on that minority outreach app? We've discussed reallocating those resources. It has potential for significant market impact, Danielle replied, a tremor in her voice. If you just look at the latest metrics. We'll see. Marcus cut her off. Then, noticing Cassandra's interest, added, Cassandra, this is Danielle Washington, one of our more enthusiastic product managers. Danielle's eyes widened with recognition. Ms. Bell. The actual Cassandra Bell. Her voice held a note of awe. It's such an honor. Your keynote at the Women in Tech conference inspired me to join Bell Tech. Before Cassandra could respond, Marcus smoothly interrupted. Cassandra is just visiting briefly. Now let me show you our new priority projects. As Marcus steered her away, Cassandra glanced back at Danielle, who watched them go with a mixture of disappointment and hope on her face. What happened to the founder's wall? Cassandra asked as they approached the boardroom. Marcus waved dismissively. Part of our rebranding. The consultants felt it projected an outdated image. Investors respond better to forward-looking visuals. Inside the boardroom, several executives waited, including Michael Chin, Cassandra's longtime CTO and friend. His face lit up when he saw her. Cassandra. Michael rushed forward, genuine warmth in his greeting. It's about time you came back. Things haven't been the same. Clearly, she responded, squeezing his hand. Everyone, I believe you know our founder, Marcus announced, emphasis on the past tense role. She's visiting today. Visiting? Cassandra raised an eyebrow. I'm back, Marcus. Raymond's health has improved enough that I can return to my position. The room temperature seemed to drop. Marcus recovered quickly, his smile never wavering. Of course. Wonderful news. Though there's much to catch up on. The company has evolved considerably over the past 2 years. So I've noticed. Cassandra took her seat at the head of the table, the chair Marcus had been about to take. Let's start with the rebranding I wasn't consulted about. For the next hour, Cassandra listened as Marcus and his team outlined changes made in her absence. Cost-cutting measures that had eliminated diversity initiatives, a shift away from the educational software that had been her passion, and a new productivity-focused culture that measured employee value by hours worked rather than innovation. These organizational changes were necessary, Marcus explained smoothly. The market demands efficiency. And what does the market say about our core values? Cassandra asked. The commitments to diversity, work-life balance, and community investment that built this company's reputation? A young VP named Blake chuckled. With all due respect, Ms. Bell, those were admirable for their time, but business has evolved. Sentiment doesn't drive shareholder value. Cassandra leaned forward. Is that why our market share has dropped 7% in educational technology? Or why our employee turnover has tripled? Silence fell over the room. Marcus looked startled. You thought I wouldn't do my homework before coming back? Cassandra smiled. I may have been caring for my husband, but I never stopped watching my company. Marcus recovered quickly. We've had some transitional challenges, but our overall valuation is artificially inflated by cost-cutting measures that aren't sustainable, Cassandra finished. This isn't the company I built, Marcus. Perhaps that's the point, Marcus replied, his tone hardening. Companies evolve. Founders who can't adapt become obstacles. The threat hung in the air. Cassandra looked around the table, noting who looked uncomfortable with Marcus's words and who nodded in agreement. I see. Cassandra stood up. I'll need access to all financial and operational records for the past 2 years. Michael, can you help me with that? Absolutely, Michael said firmly. Cassandra, Marcus's voice carried warning. Before you make any hasty decisions, the board meets next week. Perhaps we should discuss the future direction of leadership then. His meaning was clear. He had been preparing to push her out. Looking forward to it, Cassandra replied, meeting his gaze steadily. I'm sure it will be enlightening for everyone involved. Over the next 3 days, Cassandra moved through Bell Tech like a ghost. She wore simple clothes and carried a consultant's badge, blending in with the workers Marcus had deemed unimportant. What she discovered broke her heart. In the cafeteria, she overheard 2 managers discussing hiring practices. Marcus says no more diversity hires that need extra training, one said. Too expensive. Yeah, and have you noticed the new dress code is enforced differently? The other replied. Danielle got written up for the same outfit Jessica wears every week. In another department, Cassandra watched an older programmer being marginalized by younger colleagues. Legacy employee, they called him when he left the room. Counting the days until retirement, the pattern was clear, a systematic dismantling of the inclusive culture she'd built, replaced with something colder and more exclusive. She found Danielle working late one evening, the only light on in the product development area. Mind if I join you? Cassandra asked. Danielle looked up, startled. Ms. Bell. Of course not. Tell me about your app, Cassandra said, pulling up a chair. For the next hour, Danielle explained her education platform designed to reach underserved communities, exactly the kind of innovation Cassandra had always championed. It's brilliant, Cassandra said when Danielle finished. Why is Marcus blocking it? Danielle hesitated. He says it's not profitable enough. But I think... She stopped. You can speak freely with me, Cassandra assured her. I think he doesn't see the value because he doesn't see those communities as valuable markets. Danielle's words came in a rush. Since he took over, all the diversity initiatives have been cut. The mentorship program, the scholarship fund, even the community coding camps. Those were cornerstone programs, Cassandra said, anger building inside her. There's more, Danielle said, lowering her voice. There's a group of us, employees who believe in the original Bell Tech mission. We've been documenting everything. Michael Chen has been helping us. She pulled out a flash drive. This contains evidence of discrimination, financial mismanagement, and Marcus's real 5-year plan. She hesitated. He wants to sell off the education division entirely. It's all about maximum profit now, not making a difference. Cassandra took the drive, her mind racing. Thank you, Danielle. This took courage. We want the real Bell Tech back, Danielle said simply. The one that hired people like me because of my potential, not despite my background. Later that night, Cassandra sat with Michael in his modest apartment, reviewing the devastating evidence. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She asked him. Michael looked ashamed. I tried, but Marcus intercepted my messages. He monitors all communication to you. When that didn't work, I started gathering evidence instead. How many board members support him? At least 5 of the 9, Michael admitted. He's been whining and dining them, convincing them you're out of touch with modern business realities. Cassandra stared out the window at the city lights. Then I need to show them exactly how in touch I am. Marcus has been planning this takeover for a year, Michael warned. He's going to try to force you out at the board meeting. Cassandra smiled, a plan forming. Then I'll just have to beat him at his own game. The boardroom was tense as the directors filed in. Marcus sat at the head of the table, Cassandra's rightful place, but she chose a seat along the side instead, watching. First agenda item, Marcus began without waiting for pleasantries. Leadership restructuring. So he was moving immediately to force her out, bolder than she'd expected. Bell Tech requires forward-thinking leadership, Marcus continued. While we all respect Cassandra's historical contributions, her extended absence and outdated management philosophy no longer serve our growth objectives. Several board members nodded. Others looked uncomfortable, but remained silent. I proposed transitioning Cassandra to emeritus founder status, a ceremonial role that honors her past while allowing us to embrace a more aggressive market position. The arrogance was breathtaking. Cassandra studied the faces around the table, counting votes, measuring loyalty. "Do I get to speak at my own execution?" she asked mildly. Marcus smiled tightly. "Of course, Cassandra. The floor is yours." She stood slowly, making them wait. "I founded this company when most of you were still in school. I built it from nothing into a billion-dollar enterprise by focusing on one principle. Technology should elevate humanity, not exploit it." She moved around the table, commanding attention. In just 2 years, Marcus has systematically dismantled that vision. Diversity initiatives eliminated. Educational focus abandoned. Core values reduced to empty slogans on a wall. "The market has changed," Marcus interrupted. "Sentiment doesn't drive shareholder value." "Blake, share the quarterly projections." Blake stood, clicking through slides of rising stock prices and cost savings. Cassandra waited until he finished. "Impressive numbers. Now let me show you some others." She connected her own laptop. Employee turnover up 340%. Discrimination complaints up 200%. Customer retention down 25% in our most loyal segments. The board shifted uncomfortably. "This company isn't just failing its mission," Cassandra continued. "It's failing its future." "But Marcus doesn't want you to see that." Marcus stood. "These are cherry-picked statistics. The overall financial picture is artificially inflated by unsustainable cuts and accounting tricks," Cassandra finished. "I've seen the real numbers, Marcus. I know about the education division sale you're planning behind the board's back." Marcus's face hardened. "This is exactly why we need new leadership." Cassandra refuses to recognize market realities. Her sentimental attachment to legacy projects is holding us back. The older board members looked torn, while the newer ones nodded with Marcus. "I think we've heard enough," said Richard Townsend, the lead director. "Perhaps we should vote on the leadership transition." Cassandra gathered her things. "I can see I'm outnumbered today. But before you vote, know that I didn't come unprepared." She walked to the door, then turned back. "By this time tomorrow, you'll all have received formal notice of a hostile takeover bid. I've secured funding to buy controlling interest in Bell Tech." The room erupted in shocked voices. Marcus's face went pale. "You can't do that," he sputtered. "The bylaws." "I wrote those bylaws," Cassandra reminded him calmly. "There's nothing preventing me from taking back what's mine. The offer goes out to all shareholders tomorrow." She left them in stunned silence, the first genuine smile in days spreading across her face. The news spread through Bell Tech like wildfire. Cassandra Bell was attempting a hostile takeover of her own company. The stock price fluctuated wildly as investors tried to guess the outcome. Marcus called an emergency executive meeting that Cassandra wasn't invited to. She didn't need to be. Michael was her eyes and ears. "He's panicking," Michael reported later. "Calling all his allies, trying to block your bid." "Good," Cassandra said, working from a small temporary office she'd claimed in a forgotten corner of the building. "Let him waste energy on defense." She'd spent the past 24 hours making calls to investors who'd backed her from the beginning, people who believed in her vision, not just her profit margins. Many were eager to join her takeover attempt, disturbed by the company's shifting values. Marcus found her just before noon, bursting in without knocking. "This is corporate sabotage," he hissed, his polished exterior cracking. "I've spent 2 years rebuilding this company into something modern and competitive." Cassandra looked up calmly. "You've spent 2 years dismantling everything that made this company special. Special doesn't pay dividends." Marcus slammed his hand on her desk. "Your precious diversity initiatives and community programs were bleeding us dry. Your obsession with work-life balance was creating a culture of mediocrity. Is that what you told the board to justify cutting the programs I built? I told them the truth, that you're an outdated founder who doesn't understand modern business. His voice was cruel now, mask completely dropped. The tech world has moved past your Kumbaya leadership style. It's about results now. Cassandra stood, her quiet dignity a stark contrast to his rage. My Kumbaya leadership style built a billion-dollar company that changed lives. Your leadership has created record turnover and tanking customer loyalty in just 2 years. The real numbers tell the truth, she cut him off. I've seen the projections you're hiding from the board. Fourth quarter losses coming. Major client defections. Your slash-and-burn approach is failing. Marcus stared at her, suddenly wary. How did you get those projections? People talk to me, Marcus. The employees you dismiss, the clients you neglect, they remember who built this company. His face twisted with contempt. Playing the beloved founder card won't work. I have the board majority. I have the executive team. Your takeover will fail. We'll see, Cassandra replied calmly. The shareholder vote is in 3 days. After Marcus stormed out, Cassandra sank into her chair, the weight of the fight ahead settling onto her shoulders. For a moment, doubt crept in. Maybe he was right. Maybe her values-driven approach really was outdated in today's cutthroat tech landscape. Her phone buzzed with a text from Raymond, still the smartest, toughest woman I know. Don't forget who built that empire while they told you it couldn't be done. Cassandra smiled, strength flowing back into her. She'd been underestimated her entire career. This was just one more battle in a long war. But it was a battle she couldn't afford to lose. As the shareholder vote approached, Marcus launched a full offensive. Company-wide emails touted record profits under his leadership. Press releases highlighted innovative new directions. Behind the scenes, he made promises to board members and threats to anyone supporting Cassandra. What he didn't see was the quiet rebellion spreading through Belteca's ranks. It began with Danielle gathering a group in the cafeteria after hours. We have 3 days to save this company, she told the assembled employees. Ms. Bell is fighting for Belteca's soul, but she needs our help. What can we do? Asked the programmer. We're just workers. We are Beltec, Danielle corrected. And we have evidence of what's really happening here. The group, spanning departments, ages, and backgrounds, became Cassandra's underground network. They gathered testimonials about discrimination. They documented toxic policies. They compiled a true picture of the company under Marcus's leadership. Michael coordinated with major clients who'd been neglected under the new regime. Cassandra is planning to restore the education division, he told the superintendent of a major school district. But she needs shareholder support. Our contract is up for renewal next month, the superintendent replied. Tell her we're prepared to sign a 5-year commitment if she regains control. Marcus's team has ignored our concerns for months. Similar conversations were happening across the country as long-term relationships Cassandra had nurtured for decades became her strongest allies. Meanwhile, Cassandra met privately with each board member, making her case without attacking Marcus directly. I'm not asking you to choose between old and new, she told them. I'm asking you to choose between sustainable growth and short-term gains that will collapse. Some were unmoved, too heavily invested in Marcus's vision. Others began to waver, especially when presented with the true financial projections. The night before the vote, Jessica approached Cassandra's temporary office, looking nervous. Can I speak with you, Ms. Bell? Cassandra gestured to a chair. Of course. I want to apologize for how I treated you, Jessica said, her polished exterior cracking. And I have something you should see. She handed over a flash drive. It's Mr. Warner's private correspondence about the takeover. He's been promising board members special compensation for their votes. I think it's illegal. Cassandra studied the young woman. Why are you giving me this? Jessica looked down. I admired Mr. Warner. He said I could go far if I followed his lead. But the things he says when others aren't around. She shuddered. He called you a diversity hire who got lucky, called Danielle worse things. I realized I don't want to succeed his way. "Thank you, Jessica," Cassandra said gently. Recognizing a mistake takes courage. After Jessica left, Cassandra reviewed the damning evidence with her legal team. The board needed to see this before the vote. But Marcus had one final move to play. At midnight, security guards arrived at Cassandra's temporary office with written orders to escort her from the building. Her access had been officially revoked. On whose authority? Cassandra demanded. "Emergency board action, ma'am," the guard said apologetically. "Signed by 7 directors 20 minutes ago." Marcus had outmaneuvered her, pushing through a midnight vote to remove her completely. Cassandra gathered her things with dignity. As she walked out, employees watched silently from their desks, faces showing dismay. "This isn't over," she told them. Not by a long shot. The next morning, Belteca's largest conference room was packed for what Marcus had billed as a company direction briefing. Every employee was required to attend. The room buzzed with tension. Many had heard about Cassandra's removal the night before. Rumors flew about the takeover attempt, with opinions sharply divided between long-term employees and newer hires. Marcus took the stage, radiating confidence in an expensive new suit. "Thank you all for coming," he began smoothly. "As you may have heard, we faced some internal challenges recently. I want to address them directly." He paced the stage like a motivational speaker. Beltec was founded with noble intentions, and we honor that history. But companies must evolve or die. The aggressive growth strategy we've implemented over the past 2 years has positioned us for market dominance. Graphs appeared behind him showing rising stock prices. These results speak for themselves. Yet there are those who resist change, who cling to outdated practices because of sentiment. His tone hardened. Last night, the board voted to formally terminate Cassandra Bell's relationship with his company. Her takeover attempt was deemed hostile and contrary to shareholder interests. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Michael Chen stood up. "That's not true," he said loudly. "The board didn't have quorum for that vote. Only 6 members participated. You need 7 for major actions." Marcus's smile tightened. "The bylaws allow for emergency actions with a simple majority. Now, if we can continue without interruptions." Danielle stood next. "What about the financial manipulations you've been hiding? The real fourth-quarter projections show losses, not gains." "Security," Marcus snapped, "please remove these disruptive employees." As security moved toward Michael and Danielle, the back doors of the conference room swung open. Cassandra Bell walked in, followed by 2 board members and several people in business attire unknown to most employees. "Marcus," she called out clearly, "I think you should hold off on removing anyone." The room fell silent as Cassandra walked confidently to the front, the crowd parting for her. Gone was the casual hoodie. Today she wore a perfectly tailored suit that radiated authority while staying true to her understated style. "Employees of Beltec," she addressed the room, ignoring Marcus's furious expression. "I'm Cassandra Bell, founder of this company. Some of you know me. Others have only heard stories or seen an outdated portrait that used to hang in the lobby." She smiled warmly. "I'm also the person attempting to take back control of the company that bears my name, a company that has lost its way." Marcus stepped forward. "This is inappropriate. You have no authority here anymore." "Actually," said one of the board members who had entered with Cassandra, "the emergency action last night has been nullified. We received evidence this morning of ethical violations and how those votes were secured." Marcus's face went pale. "What evidence? What are you talking about?" "Your private emails promising board members special compensation for their votes," Cassandra said quietly. "The SEC representatives here with me are particularly interested in those conversations." The strangers in business attire moved closer, and understanding rippled through the crowd. Securities and Exchange Commission investigators. Serious trouble. Marcus lunged for the microphone. "This is a fabricated attack. Cassandra Bell is attempting to undermine this company because she can't accept that her time has passed." His voice rose to a shout. "Look at her. She doesn't even look like a CEO. She's trying to drag us backward when we finally moved beyond her outdated, soft leadership." The raw contempt in his voice shocked the room into silence. Cassandra stepped forward, calm in the face of his rage. Is that what leadership looks like to you, Marcus? Expensive suits and contempt for the people who built this company? Because to me, leadership has always meant something different. The room was utterly still now. Hundreds of employees watching the confrontation that would determine their future. Leadership is about vision, not vanity, Cassandra continued. It's about building something that lasts, not just quarters of artificial growth. It's about seeing potential in people society has underestimated, the way I saw potential in you once. She turned to address the employees directly. The shareholder vote happens in 4 hours. I don't know if I'll win, but if I do, the first thing I'll restore is the soul of this company. Not just diversity initiatives or education programs, but the fundamental belief that technology should elevate humanity, not exploit it. Marcus sneered. Naive idealism won't save you. I have the votes locked up. A slow smile spread across Cassandra's face. Do you? Because the SEC tends to make people reconsider their allegiances. She held up a flash drive, especially when they see what's on here. 4 hours later, the shareholder vote was complete. The results were clear. Cassandra Bell had successfully taken back control of Bell Tech Industries. The boardroom, so recently the site of her humiliation, now witnessed her triumph. 7 of 9 directors, including those who had wavered before, voted to reinstate her as CEO and accept her takeover plan. Marcus was conspicuously absent, having been escorted from the building by security, the same security that had removed Cassandra just the night before. The SEC investigation into his ethical violations was only beginning. Cassandra stood before the board, her posture straight but not rigid, her eyes clear and determined. Thank you for your votes of confidence, she said. Now let's rebuild what's been damaged. Over the next weeks, Bell Tech underwent a transformation that was both a return to its roots and an evolution towards something new. The founder's wall returned to the lobby, but with a difference. Alongside Cassandra's portrait hung photos of employees who had embodied the company's values throughout its history, people of all backgrounds, ages, and positions. Danielle Washington was promoted to lead the Restored Education Division, with a mandate to expand the program that Marcus had tried to kill. The division signed a record contract with a school district Michael had approached, the first of many. Jessica Fairchild wasn't fired. Instead, Cassandra moved her to the community outreach team, where she could learn firsthand about the diverse communities Bell Tech served. Consider it a different kind of education, Cassandra told her. Sometimes we need to unlearn before we can grow. The company culture shifted back toward innovation, balanced with humanity. Work-life balance was restored. Diversity initiatives were expanded. Profits dipped slightly in the first quarter of the transition, then began a steady climb that analysts described as sustainable growth rather than artificial inflation. 6 months after the takeover, Cassandra called a company-wide meeting. Unlike Marcus's mandatory assembly, employees attended eagerly, filling the conference room with the energy that had been missing for years. Cassandra took the stage wearing her trademark casual style, a simple blouse and slacks, no power suit needed. When I founded this company 30 years ago, she began, people told me I wouldn't succeed. Black woman in tech? Without an Ivy League degree or family connections. The odds were against me. She looked out at the diverse faces watching her. But I believed something then that I still believe now. True innovation comes from seeing the world through different eyes. From valuing people not for how they look or dress, but for what they can contribute. She gestured to the executive team beside her, a group far more diverse than before, with Michael and Danielle prominently positioned. Bell Tech isn't just back. We're evolving into something stronger. Not by chasing quarterly numbers at any cost, but by building technology that matters, with people who matter. She smiled, feeling the weight of the past months lifting away. I was told once that my leadership style was outdated, that my values were holding this company back. But look around you. The screens behind her showed rising satisfaction scores, declining turnover, and a stock price that had stabilized and begun to climb again. It turns out that treating people with dignity isn't just the right thing to do, it's good business. Her voice carried to every corner of the room. Never let anyone tell you that compassion is weakness or that diversity is just a buzzword. They are our greatest strengths. As applause filled the room, Cassandra felt a deep sense of completion. The company she'd built hadn't just survived, it had been reborn. And this time its values were etched not just in mission statements, but in the hearts and minds of people who would carry them forward long after she was gone. That brings us to the end of Cassandra's fight. Was Marcus ever truly loyal, or was he playing her all along? Let us know your take below. And if you're still here, that means you love a good comeback tale. Subscribe now and stick around. There's another unforgettable story waiting for you.